Don't call me white. Don't call me white. Don't call me white. Don't call me white. The connotations wearing my has been getting these imagines, generating a mess wherein I understand that language free stereotype. But what's the explanation for the malice for the spite? Don't call me white. Don't call me white. Don't call me white. Don't call me white.
Prices determine the value of money.
Hey, Steven. What's up, buddy?
Just happy to be alive, buddy. Happy to be with
Happy
friends.
to be alive. You know why we played that song, right?
I have no idea.
Melvin. The answer to
Melvin.
the trivial question is Eric Melvin. Correct among us.
Yes.
Do you
Eric
remember?
with a C.
Yes. So we're sitting down at this bench, enjoying company of fellow Bitcoiners. And this guy, I have no idea who he is. Sarah's husband is how I knew him. Offers me a drink, and so I said, yes, sir, I would love a drink. I will drink what you're drinking. And apparently I was drinking Palomas or Pomonas or something like that with Eric Melvin, the one, the only. So yeah, that was a fun time.
Let's just get the record straight on that. It's a
Yes.
Paloma.
Thank you.
And it's
Thank you for-
effectively a watered down margarita, but instead of using
Mhm.
lime, you're using grapefruit. It's grapefruit and tequila, not lime and tequila.
Got you.
Paloma.
Paloma. I appreciate you, PSG, for correcting me.
I've had one or two.
I apparently had a couple as well, and they hit me right between the eyeballs because I may have been acting a little bit of the fool. Thanks to Melvin.
No, I thought you fit in beautifully with those teenage cheerleaders.
They were in college, man. Anyway, we digress. What's up, Darkside?
Top of the day to you, Loren. How are you,
Likewise.
sir?
I'm wonderful. Great time to be alive.
We've got the great rotation has begun, it appears.
The great rotation. Yeah. Not just a betting store down at the mall. Also something in real life happening in TradFi. Terrence. Buddy.
Loren, I've been stuck on a podcast, so I haven't been paying attention. Can someone tell me why we have a big green dildo in my face?
I think
bad,
you're used
Bitcoin
to it.
good.
Being the OC that you are, I think you're used to it. So I don't know, man. You tell me.
Sell pet rocks, buy hard asset. That's the
Hard
great
assets
rotation.
and
hard assets lead to green dildos. Got it.
Who else is up here? Nobody?
I see G Money. I see Eric Rice. What's with the skater Blink 182 music?
Well, I got to tell you, Terrence, if you were here on time and paid attention, you'd know what's going on.
I was here at 8:30. I can't help that you start at 8:28.
Thank you. There's Punch. No, we just told the story of our friend Eric Melvin. That's actually his band. So we ode to Melvin is what that was. That was a little hat tip for him. So I think G Money knew who he was in advance. So hats off to G Money also for knowing that. Punchy, what's up, buddy? Great to see you.
What's up, ladies? Just happy to be here. Good morning.
So are we. I didn't get to spend a lot of quality time with you, sir, but always great to see you in real life.
Also, G Money, it was great seeing you too, buddy.
G Money, you knew who Eric Melvin was, buddy.
Yeah, did you guys not know who he was?
Not a damn clue. He was.
I thought you guys
Sarah's
were like
husband.
punk rock. I thought you guys were punk rock. Am I the only punk rocker here?
We're fake punk rock, man.
No, I immediately
Is that the
saw
dude?
him,
Is that the dude
and
who
my
was a punk rocker at our event?
yeah. My first reaction was this guy's fucking definitely not here for the Bitcoin meeting. But he was. But what's funny about No Effects is they were huge, like, fuck the government, murder the government, all this other stuff. And then when COVID happened, like the lead singer, like painted his hair pink and went full commie. And I was like, these are the punk rockers that like said fuck the government. And then all of a sudden they all like cucked to all the government, regulations. And I was like, what's going on here? I was completely like blindsided because not only did they do it, but like Rage Against the Machine did it. And so you saw all these like bands that were like total, anti-government, like revolutionary people, and they all cucked to the government. And it was like, I don't know, man, it was really disappointing. But he was one of the guys that didn't. So that's what's really cool about him is like, even he was talking about, I don't want to give too much away, but he was kind of, ostracized from his own group because, he wasn't down with all that stuff. So really cool to see some.
Another guy who
What?
doesn't cuck to the government? Mr. G Money himself. Not
Well,
at
yeah,
all.
you know how I met G Money, Lauren, in Santa Monica?
Jail?
Well, after jail, I was at Big Dean's where we all met up,
Big
and
D's.
yeah, and I was buying a couple of the Big Dean burgers for the Vardy twins, for the
There's
girls,
one on
because they,
stage now.
well, I think they're both on stage now, but you're not
They're both
looking.
on stage now.
Hi
And
guys. Hi
when I
Bitcoin
went
Today
to
fam.
pay for the
Hola.
burgers, G Money said taxes are theft. Just subtract the sales
And he
tax.
grabbed the burger and threw it against the wall.
Yeah. So I just, before I added the tip, I just crossed out the sales tax and I said, "Hey, G Money here says I don't have to pay sales tax." And the guy was like, "All right." So,
I mean, the government
He
is shut
also
down.
jumped out on the bill. He skipped out on the bill.
but
Yeah,
anyways,
he's not the only one. I think that German kid
the
stuck it
Vardy
to
girls
Derek
enjoyed
Rice
their
too.
burgers though. And they're here because they heard us talking about Scottsdale yesterday, and they couldn't resist.
Thanks, Terrence. You guys, it was so great meeting you all. I feel like it's like just
Likewise.
meeting the Bitcoin Today fam. And yeah, those burgers were really good, Terrence. So thanks for making it happen. And
Maybe it was the
Terrence,
company, Natalie. Maybe it was the company you were
Mm-hmm.
enjoying while eating said burgers.
Yes.
oh,
Seasoned with great company.
it was definitely the company. I didn't realize there'd be such a big crew there, but it was quite the day to commence the rest of the weekend. So
And Eric
yes.
Rice got his Zins. He was short on his Zins, so I made sure he was doing okay there.
Hooked
I
up.
can't believe how much you had to pay for those there. That was insane.
$11.
$11. They're on sale in Texas for $250. Normally $450. But man, get out of California. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it went really nicely with my $24 glass of Chablis.
Somebody on stage may have puked after partaking with the Zin.
Are you looking in the mirror again, Lauren?
Sometimes.
Hey, Lauren, it was really nice to meet your wife. She's awesome.
She's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
nice to
Well, look
connect with
what she
some
has
other
to put up
ladies.
with, Natalie. Can you imagine?
She
Like
puts
that
up with a
woman's a
lot.
saint.
Yes, she must be a saint. I won't speak for you, Terrence.
I've been taking that bullet for a while just to be Lauren's friend so that we could eventually get to his wife. So you're welcome because now we have her finally.
PST is
Yay.
my side piece.
I very much enjoyed meeting her.
Oh,
So I
and
hope you're
Yes.
Lauren,
serious.
I'll clear the air, Lauren. German guy did pay me back in Bitcoin.
Oh,
So,
good.
yeah, all
Okay,
good
he's
there.
forgiven.
By the way,
I hope we're
Lauren's
serious
like
about that
6'5". In
Scottsdale
case you guys didn't
thing.
know, Lauren's like a giant.
Oh
Do you know how
yeah,
many giant Bitcoiners were there? Like, G Money is a giant.
Did you play
PSG is a
basketball?
giant.
Did you
Noah
play
is a giant.
basketball, Lauren?
I did. Yeah, I did. Not
Okay.
anymore.
yeah.
When
They're
you hit
both
your
2 inches
late
taller
50s.
than me, so I know they're huge because I'm 6'1". So you guys must be at least 6'3".
Terrence
Wait,
has
what's
penis
with the
envy.
laughing emojis? That wasn't a joke. Fuck, jeez.
He's not talking about that height either. He has penis envy.
We have ladies here, Lauren.
Sorry to excite you.
Would you guys all come if there was an unconference feel in Scottsdale?
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
Yes.
we are here.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty easy for Puncher because he would just get in his car and drive 7 minutes and
I
be
was
there.
like, I think that this is pretty easy for you, Puncher.
Well, so Grant has a big complex. He's got a big meeting hall at the what's that place on Bell and Scottsdale Road, ladies? The Pavilion. The Pavilion.
The promenade?
Promenade, the
Salvation Army.
promenade. Yeah. So he's got a big complex there, and I looked at it yesterday. It's a huge meeting room. So if we were to do something where people could pay or stay at one of the local hotels, Scottsdale Princess, we could hang there. But then have, not pay these big conference fees to have their, catered event. We could set up something pretty cool in Scottsdale and have like venues for those who wanted to spend a little bit more. I don't know what the Scottsdale Princess is per night now. It's probably pretty hefty, but there's plenty of hotels around the area, and Grant, said he would put up his offices for, whatever kind of unconference we wanted to do. So just some ideas.
That's great. We highly suggest just anything that's not in the month of like May, June, July, or August.
Well, the rates are much lower in August, as you can imagine,
I
when
know,
it's
but it's so
122 degrees.
warm.
Yeah. Well, we got options, so
True.
let's talk about it. And
Tahoe it is.
I think Scottsdale's pretty easy to get to from anywhere. And yeah, well, we'll see what happens.
We could go shoot guns too.
True. People do like to do that here.
I'll
Direct
bring
flight
guns.
straight from Paris now, guys. Air France is here.
I'll
That,
just bring guns for everybody from Canada. I'm sure I won't have any problem getting them to Scottsdale.
that was my favorite comment from Peter Dunworth at dinner the first night. He goes, "You know what I love about America? All the guns." That was the first thing he said to me, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" We had a conversation about this for like an hour. It was hilarious though. He's like, "I love all the guns. Like, you guys have all these guns here."
Just like fences, guns make good neighbors.
Yeah, Peter was such a great connection. What a beautiful guy. Awesome. If you're not following Peter Dunworth, go follow that guy. He is as brilliant as he is sweet. So I was really, really stoked to meet that guy.
Also, a
And have you?
mountain of a man,
Yep.
Yeah, huge.
big guy.
Have you noticed PSG though? Even though he's a big guy, he wears shirts appropriately fitted.
I hadn't noticed that. I was distracted by his bulging muscle,
Extra medium.
extra medium. So yeah, my shirts were long enough. All right. I don't custom make my pink shirts. They're off the rack. Although Loren did bring me a custom made Bitcoin Today pink shirt, which I'll probably sport next time if I can shrink it down to the right size.
That's a good transition.
Yeah.
The cool gear that Terrence and I got that was so graciously given by Gen X Bitcoin. Man, how cool was that?
That was super cool.
Yeah, I love it.
I
Oh,
put a video of the unboxing. I felt like a YouTuber unboxing.
ooh, how cool.
Yeah,
Influencer.
yeah, it was
No,
fun.
it's seriously the my favorite Bitcoin gear to date. So yeah, good stuff, man. I'll keep posting pictures too. I have a meetup tonight. I'm gonna sport his gear at. So
You guys could also
super
pick
fun.
up a Bitcoin is Digital 1776 shirt that I was rocking, which is pretty cool.
We need a shirt that says gold is going down and the Bitcoin price is up. I know it's not always in favor to talk about price, but I freaking love the price. It was 1079 when I went to bed last night. It's now 113.
Prices determine the value
That's
of money.
how else would we know what the value of money is if we didn't have the price?
True Shay.
All right,
Guys,
we've
my
had.
my friend.
Oh,
Sorry.
go ahead. Nope.
Don't cut off the ladies,
Oh,
Terrence. Oh my
hey.
gosh.
I'm
What?
Hey,
Don't.
hey,
here.
hey.
You're cutting them off right now.
I like it. Go
No,
ahead,
my
Tiffany.
friend has like a company who does these pretty cool hats. I was gonna wear them at the conference, but I forgot to bring it. And it says "and the Fed." If anybody's curious, I can help you with his website and everything.
Post a link up in the nest, Tiffany.
Okay, I don't know how to do that, but I'm gonna learn right now.
Ask Natalie.
Unbelievable. I can't. Jeez. That should be the requirement, Lauren. They can't come on stage if they haven't taken the course on how to post in the nest.
Take the course.
We will learn
All
really fast. We're really fast learners. Thanks, Terrence.
right. So that was 15 minutes of nonsense. Do you have anything planned as the host,
Yeah,
Lauren?
we have a guest today, and she has a hard stop at like 9:30 or something. I like most of the guests
Natalie?
that Natalie. No, like most of the guests, I suggested coming in at around 9, just so we could get all the chit chat and whatnot out of the way first, talk about any maybe pressing news, etc. And then it's Bitcoin Treasury Company, the Noodle Lady. Why am I drawing a blank right now?
What do you mean, noodle lady?
She
She makes noodles?
correct. She runs a company that is. Let me go here. Let me find you. Her name is Norma. Norma Chu, CEO, DDC Enterprise.
So she chews the noodles, or she makes the noodles?
Both chew and make. So I'm excited because we have had a ton of conversations about Bitcoin treasury companies. So get your questions ready because I know that there's been a lot of hate and love regarding these things. And in my estimation, they are all not the same. Just like when we have extra money and just put it into Bitcoin, it seems like a lot of companies are just taking that route where they're not actually leveraging themselves to the nines in order to buy Bitcoin, like, other people are doing. I won't mention any names, but if you're stacking reasonably, I don't even think you should call yourself a treasury company. You should just be saying like, hey, I save my extra money in the hardest value keeping unit of all time and leave it at that. It's the sailor strategy and other folks trying to maybe salvage their business that is otherwise zombie by slapping the label on and leveraging themselves to the nines that kind of freak me out. So I think there's a lot of different companies that are actually dabbling with Bitcoin right now, some with less leverage, etc. So it'll be interesting. Get your questions ready. I'm not sure what strategy Norma has taken, but be super cool to talk to somebody that's actually a business person stacking sats later on in the show, in about 15 minutes.
It'll be good just to hear from anyone other than you.
I know I need to go get a paper bag because I was hyperventilating.
It'll be nice for her to meet everybody on the space and not necessarily in real life, because I find it easier to tell Natalie and Tiffany apart on the spaces because I can see their icons.
But
That is
once
true.
you've met them, you know that they're actually two separate entities. They're two different individuals.
Oh yeah, I knew that, and I was going to tell them apart by their pink watch bands, and then they both had the same watch band, and then I was screwed again.
We need to get the Cardone boys on here. We have 2 sets of Bitcoiner twins. How cool would that be? Oh, and the Altcoin Daily guys. Did you guys see them at the event in Santa Monica? That'd be 3 sets of twins.
There was a lot of twins at the conference, like people with kids with twins, people that were twins without their twin there, twins with twins. It's like, it might be a Bitcoin thing.
Hey, I'm going to rewind back to Punch. And did Grant offer up that space you were talking about, Punch?
Yeah, try attending the spaces once in a while.
Punchy?
Yeah, we got to coordinate with him, but I think he's got
Sweet. And then how many does it hold?
1 million people. I don't know, but it's
1
pretty big.
billion,
it's a big
million.
complex
Okay, cool.
with big.
Wow.
Yeah, it can handle 200 for sure.
Puncher just
nice.
DM'd me and he said, planning the Scottsdale thing is good and all, but AI is going to kill us before it happens. So
That's right.
Yeah, I was on that space yesterday too when Gary made that offer, and it sounds like he's all into it. So should be really good and help mitigate some of the costs. The ticket price for Alpha was between 1,000 and 1,500, and I can see why. The catering was great and the space was great, but the cost of the room and the hotel and everything else, like I can't imagine what the total bill on that all was. But having Gary offer that up,
Your room was expensive, PSG?
Pardon me?
Was your room expensive?
No, my room still had a gold physical key with like a ruler attached to it. But it doubled as the key to the communal washroom, so I was totally happy with that. I only needed one.
There was a few people also that took Waymo's for the first time. Did I say that right?
no,
No, you keep saying
Waymo's,
it
but
wrong.
Thank you.
but it
Wagmo.
costs money for nice things. I
Wago.
mean, there was no extra money for the conference. Just so you know, they actually went under. They reached into their own pocket. Like, I mean, it's a first class hotel. We had first class food. I mean, I thought it was worth every penny. Like, I don't actually know how they did it for that price.
Yeah, exactly. That was my whole point, Terrence. Is like there wasn't any extra fat to trim off there, and a lot of that's the venue, right? So with Gary's offer and a lot of people at Scottsdale already, I think that's a really cool thing to explore. And I think Tiffany and Natalie said we could just hang out at their crib, so it's probably fine.
I did say that, so I will, keep my end of that bargain.
And because the ticket prices will be much more affordable, there's probably going to be a few thousand of us coming to your guys' house, just so you know.
Oh, good. That's okay. I'm on a golf course, so if everyone's okay sleeping on the golf course.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's fine.
I have a question. Natalie and Tiffany, what was your biggest takeaway from the conference? And I know you were sort of collecting some info for your dad who orange pilled you guys back in the day. Was how did you describe it to him?
Yeah, everyone on stage here is like, who are these people? Natalie, go ahead. Oh, I love when we just like nominate each other. It's like I'll speak and then you speak. Yeah, I was talking to my dad yesterday. He's so funny. He's like, we need to make sure that we have this amount of Bitcoin at minimum. We need to learn how to use Primal or Noster. I mean, he was just going off yesterday. But yeah, I think my biggest takeaway, which we do as a family, is focus on like our legacy and what that looks like, legacy planning. And Thomas Young had a great session about that. And I was just like beaming, honestly, because it's something that we focused on. And I think it's great that in the sessions and in Bitcoin, we're already thinking about that, especially because of where it's going. And we need to be forward thinking and critically thinking about what it looks like to just give give our like stories, give our time and what that looks like to our family. Like we're standing on the shoulders of like our grandparents, our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents, and we need to like tell those stories. And Thomas really focused on what that looks like with his family, and it just like resonated with me. So I took a lot out of that. I think people were kind of getting emotional in the session, and yeah, so I think I just took away that telling the stories and how like our family has been sharing as a whole and how we grew up, I think is like really important. You have to be able to step back and reflect and then think about like what we've built and then share that with our kids. And then from there that builds respect and then have that and move it forward into like vacationing and time together and build those moments. And I just think it really resonated for me. So that was like a big takeaway for me. There was a lot of other sessions and I just really ran on a rant about family legacy planning, but I know that Tiffany probably has a lot more since we tried to split up our time in different sessions. So Tiff, what about you? That was a beautiful rundown. And yes, we're so fortunate that there are two of us, just like many of these other twins at the conference, if they brought their twin, because I did go to BTC and DC and I did not have my twin with me. And that was different. I couldn't go to all the sessions. Well, we're more in, I guess, on a stage and everybody was back to back. So that was a little different, but still couldn't go to all the sessions, guys. There's like a lot going on at these things, as we all know. So yeah, we can traverse the whole conference a lot more aggressively than most. So I didn't get to experience the whole legacy planning. I think I got about 5-10 minutes of Thomas Young's, and my sister and I have been to a few legacy like summits with for specifically in terms of like centering around family. And yeah, so it was nice that I was able to kind of bounce around and hear, Dark Side speak about basically options trading, which I've been getting into lately. And he kind of just ties everything back to custody and trust are everything. Um, let's see what else. The quantum talk was really interesting, and I'm like Puncher is, always into sharing his thoughts on where AI is going, which was cool because also Tad Smith brought up the AI companion paper, AI 2027, which I guess is online, and you can just look it up. I was kind of like looking into it last night, and it's actually really fascinating how we're going to be able to predict like the impact of like superhuman AI over the next decade, and how it's going to be exceeding the industrial revolution. So I guess since now we're talking about AI again, I don't know if anybody wants to create the room of doom. I'm not really wanting to doing that. So yeah, it was a really great conference, guys, and just kind of this is all. It's not just like a financial revolution. We're here. It's cultural, creative, and everything in the sessions kind of just tied back to self sovereignty and human purpose, which I thought was pretty neat and just kind of continues to just push perspective out. And yeah, that's kind of like my 2 cents. And hopefully that was about 60 seconds. Thanks, guys. Thanks. It was all nice really meeting you.
That was great. Yeah, it was nice to know that you guys got so much. I thought it was just all about taking pictures of your hair in front of the shark. I didn't know you actually were walking around listening.
You are crazy, Terrence.
Yeah, the Thomas Young thing, I think it stood out for a lot of people. It's so obvious, but I was in that room too, and it really hit me when he was talking about, we're all just running out of time, and the gift of giving someone an experience of saying, hey, pick up, so those who weren't there, what Thomas does with his kids and some of his relatives is he says, hey, I'm not going to give you anything for your birthday, but pick a place anywhere in the world and we're going to go there, just you and me. So he gets to have this special bond and life experience with just that person without the noise of anyone else. And then they go there. And he's like, it could be China, it could be Italy, it could be local, whatever. And I just thought, man, that's such a beautiful strategy and a beautiful idea to have a deeper connection and bond with your family members. And yeah, people started to get a little choked up. It was really impressive.
It's
I
some
love
General
that
Tso's
too.
chicken.
Go ahead, Dark.
I was going to say General Tso's chicken. I would pick China.
I did something similar with my boys when they turned 13. They did a one-on-one trip with dad, but we did it around concerts because we're a big music family. We all play instruments, and they got to pick the band. And we'd go do a concert. The one son, we did an ocean fishing charter, and last year we did with my then 13-year-old, we did the Mariners and Blue Jays for the whole 3-game series in Seattle, which was super super cool. But you get those one-on-one experiences and that time spent, and that really gives you the opportunity to build a real bond. That's the base layer for everything you're going to do with that person going forward into the future. So you got things that you got to say that are maybe a little bit harder, or a road that you have to walk them down. There's a great basis for doing that when you've already invested the time, because that's the only thing more scarce than Bitcoin. I think that really resonated with a lot of people about how to invest well into the humans, especially your family and friends.
I see Drifter here. Drifter, you want to chime in here? We're talking about legacy and Tommy
Yeah, hey
Tommy
guys.
Muffins. Hey.
Hey, it was great getting to hang out with everybody at the Bitcoin shark infested conference. Yeah, I was thinking it, I was in Thomas's thing as well, and one of the things that stood out for me was how he talked about the planning for the trip. Really, you start about a year out or 6 months out or whatever it is, and that really uh, drew him and whatever kid or family member he was planning with to go on this trip. And it wasn't just the trip, uh, because, his son likes sports, his daughters don't, that type of thing. But the trip was like a common uh, thing amongst them. So that was, yeah, there was some moist eyes in there. It was a great discussion.
Jace.
Hey guys, yeah, that was my favorite session of the whole conference. When I got home, I talked to my family about it, and I told my daughter that she could pick anywhere in the world that she wanted to go as long as it was Scottsdale, Arizona, to meet the twins.
Thanks, Chase. That's so sweet. It was so nice meeting you. I look forward to hopefully meeting her as well. That's really kind.
Yeah, I have to admit, seeing the twins again was a great time. They're wonderful people and wonderful to be around, and uh, their positive attitude is infectious.
I think I'll just
India.
stay on this space, all day. Thanks, guys. It's like just boost your spirits day.
मूल्य से निर्धारित होती है.
What the heck is that? Oh, G Money. Sorry, I see your mic came off. Let's go to G Money.
All good. I was just gonna say, what is your legacy, right? Like, are you going to allow your kids to pay the 40% inheritance tax of your Bitcoin? Or are you going to come up with a plan to just pass your keys along? I think a lot of folks are probably thinking about that. Are they going to allow the state to confiscate your wealth? Or are you going to find a self custodial solution and just have your kids be badasses in cyberspace to understand the power of math, really, and how powerful self custodial Bitcoin can be? Because in the future, they'll probably be able to buy things with Bitcoin. And if they have the keys to your Bitcoin, that you helped secure them for, the kids, we have to leave these legacies for our children, and we have to make sure that they knew that we fought, right? We can't allow the youth to be afraid of standing up to authority. And so I think it's powerful for people to really kind of come up with these plans and strategies with their families to understand the war and the evil that goes on. So yeah, just think about that.
Yeah, it's a great subject, and I think that's probably why it was so emotional. On one hand, it makes you really think about how limited our time is and how we want to spend it with our family, but it also makes you realize that cryptography supersedes legality, and the state in meat space can say certain things based on lines drawn in sand, but you can't penetrate math, you can't penetrate cryptography, and so it we have to sort of deprogram what we're used to of being permissioned and told what we can do when it comes to our wealth, which is such a powerful thing to think about with Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think Michael Saylor said it best where he said the laws of nature are greater than the laws of man.
There's another guy in the room that drove 9.5 hours to come and hang out. Jordan,
You
I
what is up,
you
drove
buddy?
9 effing hours to
Nine
come get
frickin'
drunk with
hours.
Loren.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, it's so
How
fun
are you?
meeting all you guys. Good. Yeah, I love the space today. I was talking to Duck actually at the meetup when we were at lunch, and he was sorry, I'm just at the gym, so a little winded.
You shit the
Um,
gym?
Yeah, that's good information. Keep going, Jordan.
he talked about Die with Zero, a book by Bill Perkins, and it talks about all the stuff where you're trading energy and time and all this stuff to be at work and to make money. And so later in life, he kind of talked about how kids would more likely appreciate the time rather than sacrificing all of that, all the memories, all the time, so that you can have a great career and make enough money to hand down to your kids when, at that time they're 40, 50 years old. They don't need the money, they want the memories. And so it's just really cool how this all ties into the overarching message of Bitcoin.
Bravo. Yeah, now not only did Jordan drive 9+ hours, he also sacrificed time with his family, but it was really cool. He did FaceTime them a couple of times, so we did get to meet them over FaceTime. Really
Yeah,
cool to meet your family, man.
my wife definitely wants to come meet all you after that
Super.
FaceTime.
That's great. I hope we maybe lessen the blow because what happened is Jordan drove straight from his home state to meet up with us, and then we kind of ditched him because we were all tired and had a long day. And basically, I don't know, he was there probably 15 minutes, and then we all said, "Oh yeah, see you later, Jordan." So we made up for it the next day. But I think your wife was under the assumption you were going to drive home the next day, but we still hadn't checked that one thing off the list that we talked about there. And so we had to make up for it. And hopefully we were able to soften the blow when it came to your wife being irritated and understanding that you needed to spend that extra day down there with the peeps, with the fam.
If
So
there's one
She
person who
understands
knows how
now,
to smooth things over with the wife, it's Lauren. Just trust him. 5 divorces, he knows
trust me,
exactly what
bro.
he's doing. Yep.
especially 5 Palamos deep. He had so many Palomas, he kept calling them
Five
Palamos.
palomas deep. Hey man, I was drinking with Melvin,
Oh, I
and
was
the
there.
Bitcoin family. It was wonderful. I had
It
an
was the
amazing time.
greatest.
It
It
was.
was it's awesome.
Should we head over to India and see how India's doing?
Let's do it.
मूल्य से निर्धारित होती है
I
Morning,
don't know what
India.
you're saying, India. You have to say that again.
मूल्य Happy से Diwali, निर्धारित guys. होती है Prices determine the value of money. Happy Diwali, guys. Wishing you all a very
Prices determine the value of money.
We missed you, India. Where were you? We expected you to take a magic carpet ride and come on over and hang out with all of us cool Bitcoin folks.
He was putting the snakes back in the basket.
Yeah. All the snakes were roaming around in the streets, and I just had to put them all in one basket so I could bring it present as a present together for you guys. I'm the snake charmer. मूल्य से निर्धारित होती है. How are you guys doing, by the way? I hope everything went fine at the Bitcoin Alpha event. It was awesome. I'm sure you guys must have had a great time. And as I said, on the 20th, we start ripping. And there we are. Hopefully, it's good times ahead, man.
Why on the 20th? I must have missed that.
Generally, in India, you have this superstition that Diwali brings in a new chapter in life. So maybe that played onto my subconscious. That's all I can say. Nothing specific, to be very honest. But yeah, the charts were telling me that there is decision time. It's either going to go up or it's going to go down. But I'm really happy that it started to go up. I just hope that it holds. It just quickly moves above to 117 and holds there. After that, we have very, very positive times ahead because gold also is having I mean, it's a $1.2 trillion race from gold's market cap today. It's 5% down. Generally, this is what actually happens. Before Diwali, we always have gold really ripping. I mean, that's what we've seen in India. And after Diwali, it starts to cool down a bit. So hopefully the gold to Bitcoin rotation, I mean, not really the gold to Bitcoin rotation, but the gold rotation is going to be underplaying and Bitcoin is going to have a good risk on time. Let's pray for that.
Now back to regularly scheduled programming. Hey guys, Norma is in the audience. So if one of you co-hosts can figure out a way to get her up on the stage, she doesn't have a lot of time, like 30 or 40 minutes, something like that.
Well, since you see who she is, can't you just invite her? Like, we don't know what she looks like.
Norma. She and a Norma. And then she has somebody coming with her too. So
did you just have a stroke? Just click her profile and click invite.
Another
I
stroke.
was thinking the same thing.
Okay, I just invited her. I found her.
Who
She's
said that?
dark hair and she's got a white sweater and she's against a winter oatmeal background. Yeah, there she is.
There she is. Okay, super. We'll take a hard right while Norma's here, and then we'll go back to gibberish about the whatever. Hey, how are you? Great to have you up here. So you don't have a lot of time, I understand. So maybe we just kick it over to you to just briefly introduce yourself, and then maybe we just open up to a Q&A because we've had a lot of discussions in these spaces about Bitcoin treasury companies, etc. And I don't think we've actually had anyone on as a guest that actually is a Bitcoin treasury company.
She'll have more time if you shut up and let her talk.
I apologize for my co-host. He can be a little bit brutal sometimes. Hi, Norma. Go ahead. Take it away. We can't hear you.
Well, she doesn't have much time. Is that it? That was fast.
Yeah. Norma, I heard her for 1 second.
No, this happens sometimes, Norma. So we're going to, if you can drop, or here, I'll drop you and then just come right back up. Remove from speakers. Okay, yeah, I'm going to now bring you right back up. Invite to speak. Gadush. Try that, Norma.
The X spaces glitch a lot, so...
You're a glitch. Norma, can we hear you?
Hello.
There you are. We hear
Me?
you now. Yes.
Hey, good.
Welcome.
I heard you guys earlier. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I think Q from DDC is also here. Do you guys also see him around?
What does his avatar look like, and then what is his handle?
Oh yeah, you see, Loren? You don't know what it looks like. Now you see.
Oh, there it is. See? KYU at DDC, and his icon is like a little space robot. Orange and purple color.
I can't work like this.
I just sent him an invite. I found him. Okay, we'll try to get him up here.
I need to go to a dark space. Dark is very organized. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, sorry. I was in the background trying to...
There he is.
All right. Hello. Great. How are you doing?
Good.
All right. You guys want to just briefly introduce yourselves? I know you don't have a lot of time, and then we will maybe just go to a lot of Q&A because there's probably some questions from the listeners here. Norma, I know I've read your background. I think you have an impressive background. Can you just maybe start there, and then
Sure.
we'll switch over to your
To
what is
Q.
his official title? Your partner in here.
Q's title is Chief of Staff, but
Oh,
he
okay.
likes to call himself Chief of Stuff at DDC because he just
I
does a
love it.
bunch of stuff. Yeah. I'll start with my own intro. Yeah, thanks for having me here, Lauren. And so, Norma, I'm the founder and CEO of DDC Enterprise, born and raised in Hong Kong, but I moved to Seattle when I was 12. Studied finance at UW, and after graduation was basically, investment banking career. Moved back to Hong Kong in my mid 20s, and I was doing equity research for a number of years before I left finance to become an entrepreneur. I was the head of equity research at HSBC, based out of Hong Kong. And I started DDC originally as a food content platform, like over 12 years ago. And the whole transition from, finance to running a food business is really, passion driven. I love to cook. And just growing up in the States, I was really inspired by like Jamie Oliver, Martha Stewart type content. And I created something similar, but for, Asian cooking back in the day. And over the years, kind of, expanded from content to content commerce and then to consumer products. And so underneath the Bitcoin treasury strategy, right now we have a growing profitable food business. And I listed the company on the New York Stock Exchange back in November 2023. So that's my quick intro. I'll pass it over to Q.
All right. Great to be here. I am Chief of Staff at DDC Enterprise. I do stuff. Prior to joining the company, I was running a crypto venture fund, mostly token investments, early stage stuff. So that was exciting. And before that, it was way too many years on the buy side as an investor with some hedge funds, private equity firms, even a pension fund in the mix. So right now I'm helping Norma with the Bitcoin treasury strategy. So it's kind of fun. It's sort of like an intersection between crypto, Bitcoin, and in the TradFi world. So I'll stop there as well. That's my intro.
That's when we go back to you, Lauren, to ask a question. That's when we
Why don't
go
I
to
jump
you,
in with a question?
PSG. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about what the strategy is and what makes the accumulation happen and how you guys think about that?
Get Bitcoin.
Sure. I think most food companies on the New York Stock Exchange are listed. They basically manage cash, bonds, and traditional instruments in the treasury because it is the safe and really understood approach. But I really started thinking about doing things differently, partly because one of my really early investor, he's also very deep into crypto, very early Bitcoiner, pointed me to strategy direction late last summer, like September. It's really got me thinking, there are definitely different ways, a more radical new way of managing corporate treasury for companies, especially a dynamic, fast-growing, and forward-thinking company like DDC. And so, we launched the Bitcoin treasury earlier this year in May, and has since been very focused on this execution, and it's really been keeping the team very busy. We announced the first 100 Bitcoin purchase at the end of May, right around the Vegas Bitcoin conference. Since then, we did a $528 million raise in June, which is a combination of, PIPE, convertible bonds, and also an equity line of credit. And then we brought on, a hedge fund investor, Anson Fund, and also a number of, I would say, crypto native and Bitcoin focused investors. And then subsequently in July, we filed another $500 million F3 registration just to enable DDC to have a lot more flexibility when it comes to capital market access. And so after completing these two fundraise, We also took, the entire month of July to focus on what is really important to have a successful, sustainable strategy going forward. And so rather than just deploying the capital right away, what we spent the entire month of July doing was really building out a institutional grade partnerships with top tier firms in the space like Galaxy, Coinbase, BitGo, Wintermute, Gemini, and the likes. And so after doing that, we came back and say, all right, now we've got to focus on accomplishing our first milestone, which is really the first 1,000 Bitcoin in the first 100 days of launch. So we did that. Right now we are at 1,083 Bitcoin. And then as we continue to think about how do we get to our more ambitious goal of 10,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year, we just announced securing another round of fundraising a couple weeks ago, 124 million equity raise with investors like PAG Fund, which is a large $55 billion private equity fund in Asia, and also Mulana Investment, which is another crypto investment manager in Hong Kong, plus other Asia-based investors in this round, and myself. So I think right now, when we think about our strategy and where we're at, I always want to say, even though there's so much happening and we've accomplished quite a bit, this is still super early in our journey. I mean, when I look back, it's only been 5 months. And so I think right now the focus for us is scale and just really, put our heads down and focusing on how do we get continuously the right capital so we can continue to have the flywheel effect. So we're very cautious in terms of how we fundraise and who we speak to when we think about raising equity. And when we do that, aside from doing that, we also think about other more innovative and efficient way of acquiring Bitcoin. So a lot of people will tell me we only have 2.5 months left to that 10,000 Bitcoin goal. We're definitely aware, but at the same time, we also feel like from here to that 10,000 Bitcoin target is not linear. It can happen in chunks, and that's why Q and I really spent a lot of time thinking about what kind of strategic partnerships we can have with other companies and partners in the space to make our Bitcoin acquisition a lot more efficient. Without going into too much details, but I'll stop here. Q, let's see if you have anything you want to add.
No, I think you covered a lot, Norma.
Okay,
Yeah.
Well, I have lots of questions, so I'll just ask them and keep dominating the
sure.
conversation.
Let's
Um,
do it.
so starting with, first of all, what's the ticker of the company? Feel free to just shill quickly so we can all go check that out.
Sure. Ticker is DDC.
DDC. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Food is such an art and such a subject of passion, right? You obviously really care about the offering that you put on a plate and in front of somebody who's going to enjoy eating that. How do you think about the passion and the art form that is preparing great dishes, and then at the same time execute such a hyper focused strategy on Bitcoin accumulation? And over the last 5 months, I know it's gone quick, but how do you I don't know if balance is even the right word, but how do you think about focusing on those two things at once, and who's sort of in charge of making sure those things are done well?
Yeah. Well, I think I'm fortunate that, the food business has been around for some time, and is fairly streamlined. And so, the team on a day-to-day basis is run rather separately. So the food business is run by the operating team. And then Q and I, basically for this year in particular, really focusing a majority of our time on the treasury strategy. They don't really, well, I won't say they collide with each other, but having a growing, profitable, cash flow generating food business definitely is a good foundation for us to launch this strategy. Um, it's really funny. I share this sometimes, like 5 months ago when I was at the Vegas conference, and I was so used to telling my background, like how I built the company, listed it, and why I'm thinking about Bitcoin treasury strategy. No one really cared about like what the underlying business was doing. I think all investors are really focusing on the, how are you going to fundraise, how much are you raising, how quickly are you going to buy Bitcoin. But what we saw in the market was extreme excitement during May, June, and topish around July, and then some a lot of the more rational, thinking comes in August, and we saw MNAV compress. And so now, as I continue to have these conversations with either investors or analysts, a lot of the focus actually upfront in the conversation is really around the underlying business. And I said that before, I think having a growing profitable operating business is going to be one of the key differentiator for the space as the debt ecosystem continue to expand. And I really thought it will become more like a focal point going into 2026. But I think, just how quickly the whole space evolved, I think now is becoming more and more, important for investors. So I don't think, they don't take away from my mind space in terms of managing the business, because operationally, from the day-to-day standpoint, the team that runs the food business is fairly self-sufficient because it's been an operating business for a number of years. And so my mind space right now is very focused on the Bitcoin strategy, thinking about bringing in the right partners, working with the right team, and also surrounding ourselves with good advisors and a lot of people that are smarter than me.
Let's go to Puncher. We just jumped up here.
Well, he jumped up because he saw there were three ladies in the space. Megs joined us, and Puncher's like, "All right,
Yeah.
all right,
Hi,
I'm in there."
Max.
Oh, we got
Hey,
Megs too. No way. That's awesome. Hi,
hey,
Megs.
Yeah.
Norma.
Hey,
I may
guys.
have missed it, Norma. I had to drop off for a second. So how is the underlying business? How are the margins? What are the revenues?
And in line with that, somebody was asking too if you could give more details on specifically like what kinds of food and stuff. So maybe adding on
Sure.
to Puncher's question.
Yeah, so we reported our first half results back in August. In terms of top line, there's around 15 million US dollars. It dropped it slightly from a year-on-year perspective because we made a strategic decision to temporarily stop loss-making units in the US because we bought a few brands in the US, but given the environment with inflation and tariffs, we just decided to stop loss-making unit going into this year. But margin expanded because economy of scale continued to improve in the mainland China business. And we reported 5.2 million in net profit for the first half of the year, of which 3.8 million came from adjustment in fair value of digital assets on the balance sheet. So stripping that out, the underlying business, we expect this year to probably generate, 3 to 4 million in net profit. Um, so that's kind of the numbers for the underlying business. In terms of what we sell, so we started launching our branded products in the fourth quarter of 2019. And the whole idea was we were selling so many products and other people's products during our live streaming session and through our content. We just decided to launch our own private label products. And so if you think about, it was kind of like the perfect timing because during 2020, during the pandemic, everybody around the world started cooking at home. So imagine the type of products that we sell would be like if you go down Whole Foods aisle, like if you go down there's an aisle called Global Flavors where you can usually find like all for all kinds of different like Asian food, Mexican food, like sauces, noodle kits. We sell a lot of sauces and also pre-made meals, and most of these products are shelf stable, so they don't require refrigeration, and usually has a shelf life of like 9 to 12 months. So that's the type of products that we sell.
Okay, so you're B2B and you have everything co-packed, I guess, in China
Yeah.
under your
Yep.
brand
So
name and it's shipped here.
correct.
It's funny. I have to get, I'm in El Salvador and we get all of we have just a small bubble tea operation. We're going to franchise down there and we get everything from either China or Taiwan.
Hmm.
And it's just been incredibly difficult um, getting it here. It's
Yeah.
the old slow boat from China is a real thing. Um, But then, the tariffs and everything else, they're just, off the charts. It almost costs more in, I guess, import fees and tariffs and shipping than it does for the products by like a good amount.
Yeah, I would agree. Like we had CVS really interested in some of our products this year in the US just because, and that opened up like 5,000 doors for us. But because of tariffs, we just couldn't make the math work. Either we would lose money on every unit or we would have to increase, end consumer prices by like 30, 35%. Yeah, so it is tough.
So as this plays out, and you've got more and more, as your business becomes more centered around your treasury, do you have any plans for the future on how you're going to expand the business into other like kind of revenue generating businesses? It doesn't sound like the one we're in is, you know, all that great.
Well, for the food business in mainland China, it's still growing and it's profitable. So we made domestically and it's sold domestically. We kind of put the U.S. Business unit on pause until we get more clarity on the cost structure. Um, and then when we think about how do we expand and grow the underlying business, one thing that's really interesting is as we add Bitcoin to the balance sheet, and if it's done right, through more mindful capital formation, and bringing in on the right investors, so the stock can re-rate gradually over time, and as the market cap expands, liquidity improve. What is the most valuable thing? We believe is actually the shares that we have, right? And so right, acquiring or growing through acquisition has always been part of our strategy, and we've bought a few brands in mainland China. And right now, we from time to time, I would say probably every other week, we would get cold calls for brands try to sell to DDC as part of the listed platform. Either it could be a PE fund looking to exit or the founder looking for liquidation event. So I think growing through acquisition by, having DDC become more valuable as a listed company is one way for us to look at how we can possibly expand the underlying business even further. We've done something similar already earlier this year where we bought another business in mainland China that was profit generating for about 5, 6 years. And the way we usually structure these deals is that we issue the DDC shares at a premium to the partner, and it has a 3 to 5 year lockup. And depending on the profitability that the JV that we set up with the partner delivers and perform, and the profits gets dividend to the parent company, then the shares gets released. So everyone's interest is aligned where everyone wants to generate more profit for the Lisco, the share price perform better, and everyone is focused on a bigger picture and for the longer time. So I think that might be something that we will continue to look at. We do have a growing pipeline. It's just that this year we think where we're at, I think we may or may not do another acquisition in the current quarter.
That's outstanding. I didn't know you were selling to retail in China, so that's great news. And sounds like you're going to try to vertically integrate the company as the opportunities present. So congratulations.
Thank you. Max, you raised your
I
hand.
I do. I
Hey,
have a question. How's it going?
good.
So we're talking about acquisitions, and just top of mind because I just saw this in the last week. There's at least one company where the MNAV is like zero point 0.4, like it's quite
Mm,
low of another treasury company. Do you think in the
hmm
future, in addition to the food business types of mergers and acquisitions, is that something you'd consider like a really uh, palatable, like, wow, that's a really low MNAV. Let's try to do a merger and acquisition of that.
mm. No, I think that's definitely something that we are seeing in the market. But we've done acquisitions before, and I think, it has to be done very thoughtfully. So I think if a company is trading below or significantly below MNAV, maybe the opportunity could be just buying the Bitcoin rather than buying the entire Lisco. Because, I mean, if you think about the value or the challenges of acquiring an entire listed company and then merging the two entities to get together, I think it gets extremely complicated. So I said this before. One of the key differentiation for DDC is that myself, I've been with the company from day one, and same with the operating team and the management team. So there's continuity and there's a culture that we've built over time, and we want to continue to expand and grow that culture. And when we think about M&A for the operating business, we're thinking about scalability, operational efficiency, and cost savings as we acquire, businesses that are in the same vertical. So it depends, right? If it's an attractive MNAV, it could be I don't know, a business in telcos or in something completely and not related to food. I think that integration will be way too expensive. Like expensive in the sense that it's going to cost a lot of management bandwidth. It's going to cost a lot of, probably internal cultural challenges to integrate two entire a very different entity together. So rather than looking at acquiring or the entity, perhaps just buying the Bitcoin might be a better way to go.
Love that answer. Thank you.
Mags, were you talking about Naka?
No, don't be mean to Steven.
That was a joke. I know. No, one of the listeners actually posted that, and I thought it was hilarious. Anyway, back to hey, PSG. I think you had some more questions, and then Gregory. Gregory, you came up. I assume you
Yeah,
have a
I've got a
question.
question, and one that's been I've been thinking about for a long time. And you don't even hear the question posed to Sailor very frequently regarding the operating business. He still does run he has an underlying business. And Norm, I wanted to ask you, how has like Bitcoin ethos sort of influenced how you run your company with its sort of decentralized ethos and I guess, these notions of self-sovereignty, is it sort of the thinking in Bitcoin impinged on how you run your business?
Um, well, I think, but you're right. Bitcoin is about, relying incentives and sovereignty. I think kind of like how DDC, our business, strive to kind of create value and trust with our product. Bitcoin's decentralized nature promotes transparency, resilience, and resistance to external manipulation. I think holding Bitcoin on our balance sheet means that, we are participating in the financial system that is intrinsically aligned with global digital evolution. And, that type of mindset and thinking is very aligned with DDC as a company, because I mean, we've been around for 13 years. We've seen different cycles in terms of like not the Bitcoin cycle, but other business cycles, and we've ride through different challenges. And I think we've always had that resilience in our blood as a team, as the DNA, and so that ethos fits very well across the entire company. And if you look at the general age of the team at DDC, a lot of millennials and Gen Z. So I think they also when I announced to the team after getting the board approval that we're going to launch a strategy, the team is super excited and supportive of the direction that the company is taking. So yeah, it's been very positive so far.
So I'll qualify this by saying I know nothing about Chinese culture, but the stereotype is that it's a very command and control, top-down sort of society. Is that fair? And does that crash against anything that these new emerging values?
Well, I think Q, maybe you can comment on my management style. But I grew up in Hong Kong, and then I spent
That's like a
majority
loaded
of
question, right? Having you
it's a big
asking
question.
me to answer that question about you, geez. I'll put it this
I was
way.
going to say she's wonderful. She does no wrong.
I
Yeah,
know
exactly.
exactly.
Loaded. Yep.
Isn't this recorded too? Wait a minute. I feel like this is a trap.
We'll clip
Um,
it.
I mean, I think. Let me. I'll share my view. I think, to a sense, in a sense, some Chinese companies are command and control. But if you look at the ones that are more innovative, like within the tech space, I think those are much more aligned with what you see in Silicon Valley, right? So if you walk into these tech hubs in Shenzhen or even in Beijing, right? Like you walk through the offices, these are like a bunch of young people, right? Like they look barely like 20, and the entire place is like a mess sometimes, and you have like cots next to their desks. It's like that kind of like startup entrepreneur culture. And even within how a lot of the new spaces evolved within like ride sharing and bike sharing and all that, like those guys are there are sort of like pushing envelope, right? Even before the regulations are clear, they kind of start developing new products so that government has to catch up with new regulations. It's very similar to some of the other countries, I guess. Same as when like Uber started, like Nobody knows what the heck the license was around Uber drivers or like Airbnb. I think that the same exists within China. And I think to Norma's point, take note of this, Norma, what I'm about to say. Give me some extra bonus.
All right.
I think despite the fact that DDC has been around for like 12, 13 years, it still runs with a very startup mentality. It's very open to new ideas. It's very open to trying new things. It's, never sort of, following others in that sense. So it's always trying to like break the mold. I want to say sort of trying to break things and see if there are better ways to do things is always what we're gunning for. So in that sense, I think it fits really well, which is why it didn't really surprise me when DDC started sort of moving into the Bitcoin space, because it sort of does fit the culture really well. So yeah, if you look at the team itself, like to them it's like great, Bitcoin finally, right? It wasn't like what the heck is this? Like, what are we gonna do now? So culturally, it was really aligned.
Hey, I'll jump in real quick just to say I know you guys had a hard stop at some point, so don't have us keep you in here. If you need to make an Irish exit, Irish goodbye, Irish goodbye, feel free. But
Thanks, Loren.
people were, yeah, for sure. People were also making comments about the old proof of reserves question. There's a bunch of I'm just trying to scroll through and get listener questions as well. I also see you guys are definitely convicted about Bitcoin. It seems like you've got some stuff time locked. So maybe I don't want to throw a whole bunch of questions at you. I don't know how. I know how Sailor tackled the prove that your Bitcoin are there question. I don't know how you guys want to handle that one, and then also maybe your conviction level with those time locked Bitcoin.
Sounds good. Q,
There you are.
go for it. I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like proof of reserves is helpful. We've been thinking about it internally a lot. I think proof of attestation is probably what we are veering towards, but still needs to work out with sort of the audit committee, and there are a bunch of stuff that we need to go through internally to make sure that that's the right way to do things. Yeah, we worry a lot about privacy and security of where people know where our coins are, because I'm 100% sure that people are trying to hack us as we speak. So we've been super cautious around there. But I mean, point well taken. Proof of attestation may be something that we'll look into. Time locked Bitcoin. What exactly do you mean by that? Just so I'm
No, it seems like I read somewhere that you guys actually have Bitcoin that you've put into some sort of vault or keeping that you can't access for X amount of time. I don't know if that was misinformation that I read, but to me it just seemed like you guys definitely had a high conviction level if you were actually putting Bitcoin into some kind of storage like that. Maybe it was misinformation. I don't know.
Lauren also makes up stuff, so feel free to ignore him if you need to.
I actually got the information from Terrence. He said, "Hey, ask him about the time lock Bitcoin."
That's true. Yes.
I don't think we have anything like that.
Okay.
So
Hey,
I
can
believe
I
that's
ask Dark?
misinformation. Yeah.
Dark, is it sounds like maybe you run a more of a micro strategy type thing where you're raising money specifically to buy Bitcoin versus somebody. Well, I guess Steven is a bad example because he's huddled levered to the Canadian whatever you call them. But I think Darkside's pointed out different things about red flags if you're actually too leveraged and your regular business can't actually pay, all of these debt obligations if shit hit the fan or something like that. Dark, what's a good way to actually say that maybe some of the, I wouldn't say criticisms or some of the red flags that you had seen for MicroStrategy applying to a company like this?
Yeah, so it sounds to me like you're selling equity, not debt. Is that correct?
Yep, that's what we did. The 124 mil that we just raised is equity.
Is that in the form of a pipe?
Yeah. So there's only about 23 million of convertible debt on a balance sheet right now. But maybe I'll answer it from this perspective, because I do think every treasury company is going to have its own path. So right now it's hard to tell because literally this first wave is so young, right? I mean, you can arguably say that this first wave is what, 6 months old, maybe 7 months old, right? And all the market is focused on is how much people are raising, and they're just go buy Bitcoin. They're gonna raise again, buy Bitcoin. It's a little bit too simplistic, I think. That's hopefully not the model. I think there's a lot more to it. So the way I tend to think about it is it's true that you need to raise some capital, but it's not always the case that you are going to capital markets and say, I need to do a pipe. I need to raise that. There are other ways that we've been trying to creatively source for Bitcoins. That includes, for example, the first 100 Bitcoin that we bought, which was directly negotiating with 100 Bitcoin sellers. And then they give us their Bitcoins, we give them our shares. That's actually a much more preferred way of doing things. So we don't have to run through investment banks, pay them whatever fees, and no idea who's going to hold our shares, and you have no idea who's going to dump your shares, right? That's always a danger. So from our perspective, like we spend a lot of time thinking through our cap table, who are our shareholders, are they long term, are they hedge funds that are just gonna flip? So I think managing that actively is important as a treasury company. That's one part. And then as I mentioned, how you source your Bitcoins is really important. That includes us having privately negotiated deals with Bitcoin sellers. They may be upstream miners, they may be uh, large Bitcoin holders. But obviously baseline, you go to capital markets and you do like pipe or like a debt deal. But I don't think that's the right way to do it. At least not, you shouldn't spend all 100% of your effort trying to do that. And then beyond that, right? Then the question is like, what are these treasury companies all about? It's just like watching them go one times NAV, and sometimes they go above, sometimes they go below, and you trade around it. And I think that's a bit more to that. So I know people talk about like treasury companies as like a levered play on Bitcoin ETF, and I think again way too simplified, right? Because if you think about the fact that the larger you are as a DAT, the more access you have to certain products and services that a person wouldn't have by just holding Bitcoin passively in, let's say, his own wallet, right? So I give a simple example of, let's say, I, as an individual, walk in the Citibank and I have some services that Citibank is going to offer me, some Citibank products, what have you, right? Versus like a Fortune 500 company walking into Citibank and that kind of products and services that that company would have is vastly different, right? So the unfortunate truth is that there are certain products that will be available to larger companies, and that's where the advantage comes in, right? So the question is like, why would you pay more than one times MNAV? Then the belief is that the Bitcoin being held in that treasury company can generate high returns than as if the Bitcoin is held on its own passively, right? And how would you do that? So I would think of it sometimes as if you were to allocate, I don't know, your capital to a hedge fund, right? And the hedge fund can hopefully outperform better than holding passive index. And then that's sort of like why you would value it a bit higher. Something along those lines. I'm still working through, thinking through all this stuff. But those are some of the observations I see when I think about like the treasury space today, and how people think through like what treasury companies should be and what the path looks like for them in the future.
I think I just heard Mrs. Lightside. Maybe I know you guys have a hard stop here in 2 minutes, so maybe we just kick the floor back over to Norma for some closing remarks and then go from there.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Lauren. Thanks for having me here. And for those of you who don't know me, follow me on X. The handle is DDC Norma, and also follow DDC underscore BTC.
Or just click her profile and follow.
Yeah, that too.
Or that.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. All right. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Now let's talk about the price.
It's up.
It's up almost the same as gold is down. So there's Dark's rotation right there.
Coincidence?
Yeah, coincidence. That's why Mags never joins us. We're here every morning, but she sees a
Max,
big
why
green
don't you
dildo,
join us?
she jumps on stage. Yeah.
I'm also an advisor to DDC, but yes, go on.
Oh, okay. Well, there's that too. Yeah. Thanks for telling me, Mags. I didn't know that. You're an advisor of everything. I can't keep track. Hey, Dark, did you have more to say about that, or what they revealed to us? I know you dig pretty deep in it on some of this stuff, but I wasn't sure if you had other questions or other comments, rather.
No, I'm going to let this one lie.
No,
Okay.
Doug, they're not here. We can talk about them behind their back. Oh wait,
Do
Max
you
is
want
here.
me
She's
to
an
drop
advisor.
off? I can drop off.
No, no, Megs.
I'm
We're
kidding.
happy to have you here. You can leave when you need to, but we're always happy to have you.
I'll just say this. I don't understand the business model. I still don't understand the business model. Um, a corporate structure is probably the worst way to hold Bitcoin, right? Because of double taxation. Um, so you have to have some value add, right? What is the value add in this case? I don't understand it. So maybe Max can fill me in on what the value
I
add
think
is.
generally the value add, for example, for MicroStrategy, and I do think that's kind of changing a little bit because we have more ETFs and just in general, the finance world is getting more okay with Bitcoin. But like, let's say a year or 2 years ago, certain types of institutions that were super risk averse could not hold Bitcoin, right? Maybe they couldn't even hold Bitcoin ETFs or Bitcoin ETFs weren't as prolific. Yeah, actually 2 years ago they weren't. So MicroStrategy was the only way that you could kind of gain exposure. So there's kind of like one angle of that. And then the second angle too is I think a company that's just a treasury strategy, especially in this world where you have ETFs and all these other things, it's a harder sell because that you're just literally focused on holding. And why would someone buy, that when they could do an ETF with perhaps potentially lower fees? But I do like the fact that some of them do have another business, and I think that's where all the companies are going, right? We have a company that has a business and they will hold Bitcoin. So I think you can kind of focus on different types of lines if you put it per se. One line is the Bitcoin treasury portion, and then the other line is like the original whatever type of business. And I think you can get creative. Like Norma, for example, like the food business is interesting because you have a lot of consumers that are buying your products, right? And one thing she's talked about is Bitcoin back rewards. Remember when we used to get like Pepsi or different types of food things and you'd like collect the little things to redeem? Like you could have Bitcoin redemptions as one. So that's like one way, that's kind of a unique way that you can interact with people and kind of boost your brand both ways, right? So I think there's kind of neat interplays depending on what your industry is. But I understand, like, they're not for everyone. But like I said, the world is going towards Bitcoin, so there will be companies that buy Bitcoin and integrate with Bitcoin, and some will do it better than others.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. But once you start doing pipe deals to buy Bitcoin, I get very concerned. I mean, we've seen how that's now played out, and we're watching it play out. Right. One thing that, look, comparing MicroStrategy to any of these others is really not fair because, he went first. He was able to build a large enough stack. And quite frankly, he's got so much capital, pristine collateral now that he could turn around tomorrow and start a bank, start a reinsurance company. Um, he could become the largest trading desk in all of Bitcoin tomorrow if he so chose tomorrow being obviously I'm talking about over a short period of time. Um, but yeah, these pipe deals are super sketchy because the pipe investors, are going to become unlocked on a certain date, and it always concerns me that the retail investor just gets absolutely smoked at the behest of the pipe investor.
I agree. And I think too, like there's different types of pipe prices that I've seen, Norma's doing higher than the current share price. And then some of like, for example, just to knock as an example, because we've been talking about them, like the pipe price was 1.3. It was quite lower. I mean, it did dip below. So I think it just depends on how you execute. And you're right, it's not for everyone, right? ETFs aren't for everyone. I think as long as someone sees some type of value, they might want to make that play.
Okay, fair enough. I'll let it lie there.
Hey, Rusty, did you have a question? Oh, I sure did, Mags. I had a question for you.
Shoot.
It's not a question. It's more of a kind of statement about all of these companies, and it's. I'm just going to straight up say it. Listen, Dark said a lot of what was needed said, but here it is. I mean, MicroStrategy is leaps. It's so far ahead, and the other kicker is Sailor. Whatever you think of the guy, he understands finance. He's producing products. He's producing vehicles that you can actually even make, a return on. You can actually make some sort of yield. Taking a company, I'm all for a company if they want to hold Bitcoin. Look, Tesla, whatever you think of it, they hold Bitcoin on the balance sheet because, well, Elon believes in Bitcoin. But when companies just begin to say, I'm a treasury company, I don't get it, because let's really just break it down and pull it back. We all believe in Bitcoin in this room. I'm a Bitcoiner. But the thing is say a company going back to just holding treasuries or holding something like MBS, you wouldn't look at that as any sort of play on a company. At the end of the day, this is just an asset. And I don't get when they do that anymore, really. It's not. Now, if someone was, say, back in the day and they were trying to compete with Sailor and eventually get there, but I'm still confused on what the angle of some of these are. I'm really trying to wrap my head around it. I get it on one end, but this MNAV story is played out, and I think it's already just overloaded. I'm really confused here.
I could probably jump in a little bit on that. I think there's at least one perspective that we can look at and say, well, typically when we look at these things, we're evaluating it from the investor standpoint, right? Like, why would you invest in DDC? Why would you invest in MSTR? Why would you invest? So from the investor's perspective, but what about from the business's perspective, right? When we orange pill another new Bitcoiner, or you get through to somebody, I mean, that's what we're always talking about, is how to get this messaging out and help people save themselves from the melting fiat ice cube. But then when it comes to the actual companies doing the same thing, I think the messaging around these treasury companies has gotten so messy, and people have gotten burned and people have gotten hurt, that we're kind of, culturally, it's taken on quite a black eye. And yet, when companies have excess earnings, when they have retained earnings, they've paid out their salaries and they've paid out their dividends, and there's still excess capital there. We want them to hold Bitcoin. We want them to know that that's the answer for their corporation, in the same way it's the answer for the individual. Now, there are concerns. There are things around taxation and stuff that Dark touched on. I totally agree with that. In our company, we found creative ways to strip capital into our personal hands so that we can hold Bitcoin personally rather than keep it on the corporate balance sheet. But not everybody has the ability to do that, from a tax perspective. But I just wanted to, just make sure that people are also thinking too about the corporation's perspective on getting Bitcoin, and kind of protecting themselves in the same way we do as individuals. That not every conversation has to be about the potential for us to invest in them.
Well, look,
And,
things are.
and can I, I just want to add to that. And that is what I would love to see. And if this company's doing that, I'm all for it. I'm all for a company using excess capital and saying, you know what, I've got to just hold some capital on hand. Let me put it in Bitcoin. But when it's going out and selling, equity, or, selling debt essentially to acquire Bitcoin, this is where I'm a little confused on what the plan is, I guess.
I just had a thought
Anyway.
that's just new thought, so just thinking through it. When I think like long term, remember how we used to build things long term, like cathedrals, anything, right? It was, now we're in this kind of fiat mentality. I think any company, because Bitcoin is still relatively cheap, right? I think any company that makes a play to own a large amount of Bitcoin, if they want to exist in like 10, 20, 30, 50 years, if they bought this massive treasury, you guys know the movie Demolition Man? Like they talk about Taco Bell, for example, like they're the only company left. I'm thinking these are like there's going to be a few companies that can still exist in the future, and that was because they made a big outsized play. And maybe not totally relevant to this treasury kind of conversation of like why are we becoming. This is assuming they have an alternative, business line. So, anyways, just an interesting thought that I had that I'm sharing.
Yeah, let's go to Dark Side. We want to get back to him on that because I love this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, Rusty sort of made my point, but there's a big difference between a company that's taking excess profits and buying Bitcoin as a treasury asset and a company that's selling equity and debt to buy Bitcoin. Those are two very different things.
Yeah, I
So,
totally agree with that. I think there's a conversation in the middle ground, though, because if they weren't doing that to acquire more Bitcoin, presumably they'd be doing that to scale up the company itself. So if you
well, but
think
that's what
about
they
it,
should do, right? That's the purpose of the company.
yeah,
Bitcoin
it
is
is.
money. It's money, right?
Yeah,
Bitcoin is
totally.
money. So selling stock to acquire money, to then hold that money because you think it's going to appreciate. I just like to me that makes no sense.
Yeah, I think it's attractive. I don't disagree with you. I just think it's attractive for CEOs and boards of directors when you look at the compound annual growth rate of what Bitcoin has done and what it likely will continue to do relative to the amount of effort and energy you put into producing value within your company. It's probably hard not to get distracted or get greedy
But
or sell a value
but
proposition.
why would the investor in the pipe deal? What is the motivation of the investor in the pipe deal?
Yeah, that's where it gets sketch, right? Is the
Yeah,
pipes.
very sketchy, right?
Yeah,
Like
totally agree.
if the motivation of the person in the pipe deal is just to have the company acquire more Bitcoin, why doesn't that pipe investor just buy Bitcoin?
Yeah, exactly. And you're increasing the risk factor of the company, right? The attack vector through that pipe deal, when arguably the
Well,
reason you should be putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet to begin with is to lower your risk.
so let's explore what the motivation could possibly be of the pipe investor, right? I think I know what it is. I've invested in plenty of pipes, right? Sophisticated pipe investors, they have offshore accounts that they're looking to short the equity on the pop in the MNAV, right? And they short the equity into the lockup expiring on the pipe, and they look to arbitrage the difference. But who gets hurt is the owner of the equity who's buying because they see the price go up, right? Like you kind of have to look at this thing and understand what's really happening,
Yeah.
right?
So how do you
Nakamoto is a
think?
perfect example.
Yeah, I wish Norma was still here because that'd be so great to ask her. Like, how's she thinking about that? Because she mentioned,
Well, I'll tell you what she'll
grind.
tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you what she'll say. We're choosing, our pipe investors very carefully. They're not hedge funds. Yeah, blah 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 blah.
One of the
Right?
advisors is still here.
No, again, I don't want to like. This isn't about slamming any particular company. It's about slamming a business model. Right? From
Yeah,
my perspective, until you can explain to me what the incentive is for the pipe investor, other than to arbitrage a profit versus the common shareholder at the expense of the common shareholder, I it makes no sense, right? Unless you're out to make a quick buck, that pipe investment, you'd be better off just buying Bitcoin.
yeah, we got to get
So
Norma back on again to have that conversation because I'd
no,
love to hear that.
we really don't. You know what I
No,
mean? Like,
hear me out. That's what I was going to say. Is like she's been grinding since 2012, and when the question was brought up about M&A and buying discounted a company at a discounted MNAV, she said, "No, no, that's going to hurt our culture. That's going to hurt what we've been doing, what we've been building." And I'm curious how she could think that way in that respect, and then be reckless with the pipes. I'm not saying she's not, but I just would love to hear that perspective. I've got a lot of hands though. I don't know
I'll
what order.
Don't
Go
Oh,
be
ahead,
sorry.
Yossi.
reckless with the pipes.
I
Go
had
ahead,
this.
Mike.
I just interviewed Norma for my podcast, so that's launching either today or tomorrow. But we actually had that conversation around the mergers a little bit. more and just so based on my understanding of what Norma said about it being maybe dangerous or not as good is if you have this a culture of like so Norma's been there since day one, right? This is her company. She's been building it, and then when you mix sort of two companies, it can that just that process of combining staff. Maybe people have different just ways of operating or different ideas of where businesses can go. It's not as seamless. Or she was saying if you have just any of the treasury companies that just kind of form a team, it takes a while for that team cohesion. So I think that's sort of where she was coming from.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it for sure. I saw some hands a second ago, but now they've all disappeared. Who was going to be up next year? Did we
I
have
see
Drifter?
Rusty and Drifter. Let's go with Drifter.
Yep.
Yeah, hey, I awesome discussion. I kind of view the small and medium-sized businesses that are trying to execute this Bitcoin treasury strategy in kind of the Ray Kroc model from McDonald's, where he said from a very early on time that his greatest asset was they weren't a hamburger company, they were a real estate company, and used a lot of the cash flow and financial machinations of the way they were in the business to end up accumulating a very massive real estate portfolio. And that seems to be the strongest thing, minus their cash flow on their balance sheet. And I just view Bitcoin as the next step from real estate that doesn't have any of the negative drags of real estate. I don't know, just a thought.
I like that.
Rusty.
Well, I this is something you bring it up. Well, I've tried to kind of say it in a way to Grant. Cardone is yes, that's a good explanation of it. But the thing about what Ray Kroc was doing was simply owning the real estate underneath the actual building itself. Why? Because he can then charge them a lease fee, right? So he can lease out that land to them for a very long period of time. So that is always cash flow plus the actual fee they have to pay. I think it's what is it, about 3% roughly. To operate under, essentially what is McDonald's as a franchisee. Now, the thing about what these Bitcoin companies, these treasury companies, again, I'm all for them if they're taking, say, a little bit of their profits. They need to store some capital. So the traditional would be to put it in MBS or even just hold cash on hand. But if you're going to do that, that's fine to sit there and say, all right, well, we need something that's going to accumulate, that's going to grow instead of just being this fiat garbage. I'm all for it. But you're going to have to, the thing that's different from with Saylor is he's actually creating sort of vehicles with this Bitcoin, and he's so far ahead. I just want to see some people be a little more, I guess, I don't know, interesting, creative with it is all. I don't really
I'd
get
rather
it.
ride the Kager of Bitcoin at 30-ish% per year and watch real estate go down to the utility value around me and pay rent because your rents are going to go down over time, and let somebody else have the headache of that.
I just want to say that I got a free Naka hoodie at the Bitcoin conference, and then I bought some when it was down 90%, and then I got liquidated even though I bought it when it was down 90%. And so it was just a small position, but I felt bad for David Bailey because everybody was picking on him. So I said, you know what? I'll pick up some Naka at $1 something. And then it went down another 50%. So just to know you can still get burned on treasury companies and to be very careful. But again, I bought it just because I thought it'd be fun, a little experiment. But I do enjoy the hoodie. It's a very high quality hoodie. And so, yeah, just thought I'd share that story.
Well, now you don't have
I
to pay
think
any capital gains taxes, G Money. So you solved it.
I
I'm
Problem
gave
gonna
my
solved.
dad
pay.
a hoodie and he loves it. He always wears his Naka hoodie when I visit now.
Not going to get cold.
I don't think he even knows what NACA is, but that's
It's a
fine.
very high quality hoodie. I gotta admit, like it's probably one of the highest quality hoodies I've ever. And they should maybe be a hoodie company. I mean, that might work.
They do have a shop. I know it's kind of funny. I gave my dad like every Bitcoin conference. I always grab like a T-shirt or two for him, and then he's got like this whole collection. And sometimes, like when we're going on a walk, my mom's like, "No, not this one," because it's like this giant, like the entire shirt is like a Bitcoin sign, and she's like, "No."
Go ahead, Jordan.
I was just gonna say, with the psychology and the philosophical trends of Bitcoin, it just seems like when you finally understand what it is, you want to try and put everything into that. And so I think sometimes that sacrifices things. Like on a personal level, it might be a family vacation, or it might be things that you have saved up for that you're now putting into Bitcoin. And I think on an institutional level, that psychology still stands true. You know, that once you figure out what this could do for your company or for your institution or for your country, you want to kind of ape in. And sometimes I think that that kind of takes over, and you have to do it in a strategic way that doesn't sacrifice your morals.
Well, I think one thing that's going to happen with these treasury companies actually is that it's going to allow companies to plan longer term because I think so many companies are focused on short term gains, right? To where they diminish their products because they're looking for these fiat incentives to make their company look good on Wall Street. You know, for instance, we see what's happening with our food industries and they're just putting fillers and all kinds of garbage in our foods because they want to reduce the pricing or the cost of goods that go into it to get the cheapest to, maximize profits. Where I think eventually treasury companies will allow some breathing room so these companies can start building real value and they don't have to worry about next quarter gains where they're looking at like maybe 5 or 10 years down the road that they can start building real value and real products. I think when we go back to like the old days that they don't make them like they used to. Remember you bought a fridge and you never had to really replace it, and now we get these new appliances and stuff that barely last right past their expiration date of the warranty. And so I think over
And they're
time,
advertising at us now too.
yeah, right, exactly. And so I think what's going to eventually happen is that these companies will be able to, plan longer term and build real value. I mean, even Trump is saying they're going to reduce I think the reporting requirements from like quarterly to bi-yearly or something. And so I think it's all part of that same plan of giving companies more ability to have vision instead of just quick gains.
I wanted to step in real quick on the hoodie subject. I just want y'all to know that there is no more triggering hoodie than the panties for Bitcoin hoodie. Wear that home for Christmas.
Or wear it when walking your dog and then realize, oh crap, what are people thinking that I'm selling them for Bitcoin? It's
I
like they
mean,
don't get it. And I love the company. They're such an amazing
oh,
company
they're
and
the
good products.
best. They're absolutely the best. And that's why I will wear that hoodie anywhere. But there are no two more triggering words than panties and Bitcoin. And then you put them together on one bright orange hoodie.
I think my hoodie is going to be very rare in the future. So I think I maybe
Yeah,
should save it.
Terrence actually wears their panties.
Well,
Just
Lauren,
asking for a friend.
Do you
Just
mean
just
the male line, the P4B, or do you mean something else?
No, he actually prefers the thong straight up the butt crack kind.
I'm gonna just go ahead and say these are like made in Italy, and they are literally the best. Like it,
He loves the feel of that
they are
between
the
his toes cheeks.
Bitcoin of underwear.
The Bitcoin of underwear, PSV.
yeah, somebody throw that up in the nest just because I have a friend who might want those panties. And maybe the hoodie, not me, but like a friend for a friend. If you could.
For a
well, I
friend.
just threw
Great
up in the
Canadian
nest
company.
Mags one wheeling. She was wearing those Bitcoin panties in that video there, so you can't see them
Terrence
very
threw
well.
up in the nest.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say like one last thing about this because again, I want these companies to do these things with Bitcoin, but I would love to see someone piss off TradFi like Altria, who pays out a dividend of say 7% in fiat, pay out a little bit in Bitcoin or do something of that nature. But when you just are going and you're sitting here selling stock or you're trying to, sell debt to buy Bitcoin and think you're just going to stick around, I don't really understand that because it's not a model. If you're an actual business model that is positive earnings, positive growth, and you're acquiring Bitcoin along the way and you can actually do this, I'm all for you. But when you're just trying to sell to get more Bitcoin, I understand that there's an idea that, all right, well, it gives people exposure without holding Bitcoin. But you can just buy numerous companies, especially like MicroStrategy, that's going to be around and actually going to survive. But again, I don't know. I'll just leave it
I
there.
think we need regulations, though. I don't think they're allowed to do dividends in Bitcoin. I mean, we just recently saw that ETFs, you can sell your ETF and get Bitcoin in return. So that's going to be still a bit of time, I think.
I think we actually have a new verb now
That
too. A new verb for getting liquidated from buying a Bitcoin treasury company. We're going to call it "you got knocked." Knocked.
well, that's the whole thing about this treasury, right? It came about because regulation changed at the end of the day. And again, I agree with you. A lot of regulations need to change. But at the end of the day, it's held publicly on a corporation's balance sheet as an intangible asset, and that's all it's ever going to be right now. So I'll just stop there.
You said you would just stop there 3 times now, Rusty. That's enough.
I'll stop here.
He's just salty, guys.
It's human nature. Degens are going to degen, and the treasury companies, by and large, are showing themselves to be, this cycle, for whatever that word cycle means anymore. This cycle's altcoin or meme coin or some shitcoin, and it's basically because we're medicating that part of us that wants to do something. I think largely, we feel like we want to take action, and we want Bitcoin to hurry up, and so then we get bored and we start doing things. And in our profession, we always say the most robust portfolios belong to dead people because they haven't been able to influence them. They haven't been able to mess with them. If you just buy the right thing and leave it alone, you're going to be much more successful. Actually, there's a statistic that says that a human being or underperforms the portfolio they hold by about 40%, which is to say that the portfolio left to itself will be 40% higher if you don't do anything than if you attempt to influence it. So I like to say, instead of don't just stand there, do something, like don't just do something, stand there.
And that
And I know it's not fun or sexy, but you'll be better off for
I
it.
think a lot about here the current. I keep watching all these knots versus core things, and I keep vacillating. I'm still fence sitting, but this whole business of like you want to do things in life, right? And so yeah, I would say it's very you've got all these 30 people working on Bitcoin, right? And like, you get an Elon Musk memo saying, "Hey, what'd you do this week?" Indicating you're going to be fired if you didn't do something. So there is that pressure. And I think Saylor addressed that and said, that's how I'd actually kill Bitcoin. I would just, kind of like, Word or something. You would just keep sort of making improvements, Excel, keep adding to it. And the next thing it's so goddamn bloated that it's not usable.
Yeah, so we have to figure out ways to entertain ourselves. Just buy Bitcoin, put it in self storage. That's what's going to matter. That's what's going to count. That's what's going to win out. The rest of it is finding ways to mitigate our own damage that we do to ourselves.
Nothing more dangerous than a crab market where people get bored.
Totally, boredom is worse than fear in certain cases, especially when it persists. And I
Would
think
you like to
people,
know how I handle this?
yes, please,
Okay. Has anybody
Alcohol.
heard? Oh, yeah. No. Does anyone heard of lnmarkets.com?
nope.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I have about 300,000 satoshis in there that I mess around with and have been messing around with for like 3 years now, and it makes me go nowhere near anything else. And my cold storage is my cold storage, but it gives me that little, like, when you're bored and you have to do something, like, this is what I do. And because it's all in satoshis, it makes it seem like you're doing a lot more
Wait,
than
so
you
what
really
what
are.
is it, Mel, though?
It's called lnmarkets.com. It's a trading site, but it's only trades Bitcoin and it trades it in Satoshi increments. So like I can trade 50 Satoshis at a time.
But what are you trading it for? What do you mean it's a trading
Well,
market?
you actually well you're trading the price, but you're paid out in Bitcoin. Like so if you
Oh,
put
so
it
you're
in
taking a
order,
small amount of Satoshis and just betting on the price as if it were
yep.
just some other asset. I got you. I got you.
Exactly. And you get because you get paid in satoshis if you know, do all right. So you're actually what am I trying to say? It's the increments that I like. It's that 1,000 satoshis seems like so much more when you're looking at it that way. So you have something you can mess around with, you can scratch that itch and do no damage.
Yeah, you're using unit bias to medicate. I like it.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, question, guys. Does anybody know what happened to the Lightning dot store? They used to sell that Satoshi shirt that Jack Dorsey always wears around. It's like the site's gone down or something. Is it? Did they close up shop?
I didn't even know about that store, but that's the only place to get that Satoshi, like the drunk Satoshi shirt.
Yeah, like the Nirvana one. It's also
Yeah, yeah.
they also made a no effects one too. Actually, I think it was like Sats in Public or something. I forget what it was, but that's why I wanted to order that. I wanted to order
I
that no effects one, but then I went to their site and it's like not there anymore. So it's like Lightning dot store. They used to sell some really high quality Bitcoin stuff, but I don't know what happened to it.
check FOMO 21. I'd be surprised if they don't have a version of that.
Yeah, I'm signed up with Neil, I think, as well. But they made some cool shit because it was more punk rock. But if anybody
Wait, did you say
knows
the Lightning store was closed down?
Lightning dot store, it was a specific Bitcoin store. Yeah,
Yeah, that's where I got my pink Satoshi shirts.
yeah. So it's not there. It's like the site's shut down, I think.
Well, I'll have to resource them somewhere else, I suppose.
You can also always ask Proof of Ink. They'll design something and then they hand print every one of them. It's their shirts are great.
You know who else has great shirts? Gen X Bitcoin. He was listening a little while ago. Hooked us up. Is it a good time to go around the horn?
Let's go around the horn.
Okay. I had to do it.
PSG, would you like to take us around?
Sure, let's talk to Jordan. Final thoughts, buddy?
I think this was a great space. Just to emphasize everything you said. If you don't know, ask Picture Guy about the black market fragrance industry. But I think there's so many creative ways to jump into Bitcoin, and I think if you're selling preferreds and um, all that stuff, you're gonna learn. You're gonna do that to get Bitcoin. If you're gonna, if you're selling panties, you're gonna do that to get Bitcoin. So I think there's so many cool ways that every industry is gonna jump into Bitcoin, and just excited to see how creative this gets.
Yeah, that's a long conversation if you want to ask me about the fragrance stuff for sure.
Mm-hmm.
G Money.
Today is just your weekly reminder to not file your federal income taxes and tell the state to go fuck itself, and that you, as a sovereign individual, have the ability to project power in cyberspace to bring about a new revolution of peace, prosperity, and fairness to everybody. Love you all.
Loren, did you clip that? You should
No, I
have
might
clipped
have to
that.
go back and clip that. That's good.
That's beautiful.
Good stuff.
Mel, what's on your mind? Take us home.
Okay, Bitcoin boomers this Sunday. I'm like on the edge of my seat. I'm like nervous and I hope you guys will all tune in. It's on BTC session 6 p.m. My first Bitcoin boomer show and I think it's going to be good.
But you're not
6
even a
p.m. in what
boomer.
time zone?
Hey,
I created this show.
But
kids.
so you can be a Gen Xer and go on the show?
No, I just created it and I'm a producer, so I'm the one behind the scenes wrangling boomers.
Oh, you're not going to be
She's
on the
wrangling
show.
old
You're
cats.
behind the show. Got it. Got it.
Yes, I'm behind the show.
She's behind
So,
the
and I think
scenes.
Listen, these guys are so smart
But they're
and they've
super
got
old.
so much experience. But yeah, they're boomers for sure. But it's going to be worth it. And I think that just their experience blows my mind. And I've learned so much from them already just from talking to them. So I just hope people will get some things out of it.
Will we ever get
Well,
Fosse back?
Fosse's coming
I hope
back.
so.
I want Fosse.
We're really truly trying.
PSG and I
It
interviewed
is
Fosse one
it
time.
is in the works.
Hey, guess who's on the
Nice.
stage?
Eric Melvin.
In the flesh. What's up, Eric?
Uh, hey, can you hear me all
We
right?
hear you fine
Am I
and
here?
dandy.
You're
Hey,
silky smooth,
Yeah,
Eric.
you're like in
my first
concert.
time. Thanks for being here.
So
Um,
are you guys
the,
gonna sue us for this? Yeah. This is
absolutely
copyright material. Okay, you can't get blood out of a turnip, sir.
right.
Thanks for
Hey,
the
it was really nice meeting. It was nice to meet you guys
likewise,
over
man.
the
Thanks for the
weekend.
drinks.
Everybody, not just guys. Oh yeah,
What were those
Paloma,
palomas? Did I say it right?
Pal-
I kept
Paloma,
saying
you got it right
pomonas
this
and
time.
palomas and
Yeah, Palabra.
Did
palabras.
they have drinks for men there too, or just those?
Oh, ouch.
He knows because Terrence is actually a lesbian from Orange County, so don't worry about that.
No, I cut my hair,
Palomas
changed
have
my
tequila in
profile.
them, Terrence. You can't. Okay, the jokes are awesome, but when you're drinking Coors Light, you can't dunk on the Paloma.
Oh,
Oh, I love the silver bullet. You guys don't like Colorado? I
Oh
support America.
gosh.
so do all the ladies.
Well,
Anyway.
Coors
beer
Light tastes
flavored
like
water.
Zima Light.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah,
love me a
it's
good
beer
Zima.
flavored
It
water,
is.
in my opinion. I'm not like the super IPA guy, but I do enjoy tasting beer when I drink beer.
So perfectly said. So perfectly said.
Oh, thank you. Well, it
Those
is my first
palamas
time.
definitely hit the spot, though. Thanks, Eric.
Yes,
That was super
yes.
fun.
It's all about the palabras. What were we talking about today, guys? Can somebody wrap up for me?
That's what we're doing. We're just kind of ripping around, talking to everybody. Talked a bit about treasury companies. Still unpacked a little more from the Bitcoin event in LA, and then we also talked to a founding member of a Bitcoin treasury company that also makes food. So definitely, if you got time, Eric, look for the recording. It's been a great space so far today.
For sure. Awesome. I will. We're working on our backyard garden this week, getting trees planted so we can feed ourselves when the apocalypse comes.
That's awesome. Make sure to leverage the trees to buy more Bitcoin.
I hope you'll eat some of
Always.
that before the apocalypse comes too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the idea. Get into this the groove of it all. There's quite a lot to it, Um before we need it.
Hey, is your lovely wife there, Eric? Is she?
It sure
Can she
is.
say hi real quick? Is she?
That looks like a bit of a, let's
Oh,
see,
she
what
made a
does it
face, huh?
mean when somebody's
Mm-hmm.
waving their
Just
hands
like at their throat, like
like
no,
something's on fire?
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
I'd
we understand.
I'm gonna interpret that as a
It's a
not
hard
today.
no. Yeah, hard pass.
Yeah.
Okay, we tried. Hi,
She'll
Sarah.
be on. She'll be on if you'll have
Yeah,
her
for sure.
one of these days.
I think the horn is breaking,
We
PSG.
broke the horn.
I'm trying, man. It's not the easiest thing to do. We're getting sidetracked. I see Puppies up here. We haven't even heard from Puppy. Are you there, buddy?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Having a flashback. Bell was talking about the boomers. We did I did spaces, man. It was like 3 years ago. It was a Bitcoin Boomer Spectacular, and probably the largest space that ever had to run. But we had Lepard, Max, we got Booth, and Foss, and even snuck in Preston Pitch, even though he's not a boomer. But yeah, that makes your job easy, Lauren. You just sit back and shut the fuck up and let them talk to each other. Easy space to run. But you guys are talking about, yeah, don't overthink this stuff, man. When it comes to Bitcoin, you're gonna have some new flashy thing you want to buy or trade. You just think of the one meme that says you don't know shit about fuck. If you do that, you're gonna be a successful Bitcoiner. Just hang on to it. Do nothing for three halvings at least, and you'll be good. But yeah, good to see everybody. Love you all.
But Naval told me to get some Zcash, so I'm having to look into that at the moment.
मूल्य से निर्धारित होती है.
No, that's a different Indian.
That's a great advice, Pubby. That's coming from a guy who is on his fourth Heineken Zero.
I think Puppy's
Loving
on
the
the
Heineken
wagon.
Zero.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, well, Heineken
Five,
Zero, wagon juice.
5 months, man. 5 months, if
Good
you can
job,
believe it.
Pub. Proud of you, man.
Fuck
Congratulations,
yeah.
rock and roll, buddy.
Should just have a Coors Light.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. Good for you.
I'm
Yeah,
angry
Coors
as
Light is just
fuck.
flavor-free alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't tried any of the alcohol-free beers. Just stuck to black coffee in the mornings, water, and iced tea. Pretty much it. No, that's pretty simple. Oh, Pellegrino. If you guys got any stock in Pellegrino, yeah, I hit about 3 or 4 of those a day. Good stuff.
Gregory, final thoughts. Great hearing from you this morning.
Yeah, no, you guys nailed it today. I really enjoyed the spaces. Fun. You guys got a good back and forth going. Nice work.
Mags, take us away.
Frankly, I'm surprised that last week nobody launched a Bitcoin treasury and gold treasury company.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, right? What if somebody did with gold and Bitcoin what Grant's doing with real estate and Bitcoin? But I guess there's no yield off the gold because it's a dead rock. So that's a dumb idea. Okay, Terrence, it's on you.
I'm good today. I think I did enough talking at the beginning of this space, so I'll move it over to
I
you.
agree.
And then, yeah, see, Lauren agrees. So let's,
We have
yeah,
there's a quick shout out, Terrence, to everyone that was dunking on shift today when gold had a 4% or 5% pullback, and everyone's busting his ass about it being a store of value. Well done, well played.
Did we get Drifter?
we didn't get Drifter.
Oh, hey guys. No, I won't have I won't have a lot to say. I was just wanted to say hi to Eric Melvin before he left, but unfortunately he left. Him and his wife are a trip. They're so good to hang out with, and as are
You're
the
welcome.
rest of the group. So thanks so much for hanging out last weekend, and I had a blast. So awesome space, guys.
And I'll be hosting tomorrow, so same time. PSG.
Appreciate everybody in here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for contributing. The community wouldn't be the same without any one of you. Just remember what's really important in life. Time is truly limited. Spend it on what you care about the most, your family, your friends, and making a difference in the world. Value your time. Reach out and touch someone. And
Not like that.
don't be, no, not like that.
Yeah, Lauren has a restraining order.
Yeah, and I have to
Don't be
stay
shy about
100 meters
expressing the
away from
positive stuff.
elementary schools as well.
I learned 20 years ago when we lost my mom to never leave anything good unsaid. Never leave a hug unhugged. If you love somebody, tell them. If you appreciate qualities in them, tell them. There is so much stuff out there that's always negative, and then we try to retroactively, when it's too late, say the positive thing or do the positive thing. Just don't be weird about it. Hold the door for somebody, and if you have something nice to say it. That's better than if you don't have anything nice to say, don't. If you think a positive thing about a human, tell them, hug them. If they look at you funny, just say, "Hey, look, I can't leave it unsaid." So there you go. Love on each other. Lauren,
Wow.
That was great
Now you
advice,
guys
PSG.
know why PSG is my side piece. I mean, my gosh. What a guy. Some great people in this space. That's why I'm here.
You're here as well.
That's true. And me. And then there's me. No, I actually think that Bitcoin is a great.
Mags just left as you're closing out.
Okay.
She enjoyed
Who did?
PSG, and then she said, Mags.
Oh,
She said,
damn
I
it.
don't need to hear Lauren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Bye-bye. Bye, Mags.
see you later, Megs. It's called the Irish exit or the Irish goodbye, I guess. But I think PSG summarized very well because on the list of importance, Bitcoin is actually not number one. Your time, your loved ones. Bitcoin is just a tool. I think integrity and morality and things like that actually need to be combined with Bitcoin if we really want this revolution to succeed and actually change the world for the better. So I think we do need to call people out and make them accountable when they do things that are the antithesis of the movement. So I appreciate you folks in this space and have an amazing day. And we'll talk soon.
Prices determine the value of money.
You do not sell your Bitcoin.
Bitcoin today, not Bitcoin. not Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin today. Not Bitcoin today.
You do not sell your Bitcoin.
Bitcoin now. Turn up your feet. Turn up those.
Prices determine the value of money.
This is Bitcoin now.
Thanks, PSG. You're the man.
Don't look now, but Bitcoin is on fire.
This thing is, you can't kill it.
You have to find something that you can trust in a trustless world, which is Bitcoin. You know,
It